African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of July 10, 2025. Last night, the armed forces of the Russian Federation delivered a group strike with long-range precision weapons and strike unmanned aerial vehicles on enterprises of the military-industrial complex of Ukraine in Kyiv and the infrastructure of a military airfield. The strike objective was achieved. All designated targets were hit. Units of the North Group of troops improved their tactical position. They inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of mechanized, Ranger, 2 airborne assault brigades, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Rizivka, Kondrativka, Varakino, Yablonivka, Unikovka, and Sadki in Sumy region. In the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of the Airborne Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Volchansk and Melov in Kharkiv region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 165 servicemen, 4 armored combat vehicles, and 3 cars. 5 field artillery guns were destroyed, including 2 155mm M777 howitzers produced in the USA, 3 electronic warfare stations, and 2 ammunition depots. Units of the West Group of troops improved their position along the front line, inflicted damage on formations of 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Petroivanivka, Kupiansk in Kharkiv region, Kaladizi, and Zelenaya Dolina in the Donetsk People's Republic. Losses of the armed forces of Ukraine amounted to more than 225 servicemen, a British-made Snatch armored combat vehicle, and 15 cars. 2 electronic warfare stations, a US-made and /TPQ-50 counter-battery radar station, and 5 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the South Group of troops improved their tactical position. They inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 4 mechanized, an airmobile brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and the Special Purpose Brigade Azov in the areas of the settlements Kostyantynivka, Klebenbyk, Chasivyar, Belora, Siversk, and Sherbanivka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 205 servicemen, a tank, 7 cars, 3 field artillery guns, an Israeli-made Rada counter-battery radar station, and 4 ammunition depots. Units of the Center Group of troops have taken more advantageous lines and positions. They inflicted defeat on formations of heavy mechanized, 4 mechanized, airborne, air assault brigades, an assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements Krasnoarmysk, Dmitrov, Yudaknoy, Rodinskoy, Muravka, Petrovskoy of the Donetsk People's Republic, Filia, and Novopodgorodnoy of the Dnipropetrovsk region. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to more than 435 servicemen, 5 combat armored vehicles, including a US-made HMMWV armored car, 11 vehicles, and 5 artillery guns. Counter-battery warfare stations and /TPQ-36 made in the USA and Rada made in Israel were destroyed. Units of the East Group of troops continued advancing deep into the enemy's defense. They inflicted defeat on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, and 3 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Karl Marx, Iskra, Kamishevaka, Voskresenka, Volnoy Pol of the Donetsk People's Republic and Malinovka of the Zaporizhia region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 220 servicemen, 2 tanks, 3 combat armored vehicles, 10 vehicles, 2 field artillery guns, and a radio-electronic warfare station. Units of the Dnieper Group of troops improved their tactical position, inflicted defeat on formations of mechanized, mountain assault brigades, 2 coastal defense brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 3 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Kamenskoye, Novoandrievka, Stepovoy of the Zaporizhia region, Yantarnoy, and Nikolskoye of the Kherson region. More than 60 servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine, 5 vehicles, 2 artillery guns, 9 radio-electronic warfare stations, and 5 ammunition depots were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian armed forces groups inflicted defeat on an ammunition depot, a missile weapon storage site, temporary deployment points of the armed forces of Ukraine formations and foreign mercenaries in 131 areas. Air defense means shot down 5 guided aerial bombs and 185 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 663 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 68,662 unmanned aerial vehicles, 614 anti-aircraft missile systems, 24,183 tanks and other combat armored vehicles, 1,576 multiple launch rocket system vehicles, 27,212 field artillery guns and mortars, 37,942 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.